Hello everybody, this is Joel, aka Bourbon Dingo, and welcome to episode 10 of my Let's Play Crusader Kings 2. In the last episode, we saw some weird things happen in England, such as we can see right here, Denmark has taken over England, but there are two little provinces owned by the Holy Roman Empire. I have to say that I would much rather Norway control the Holy Roman Empire, control England than the Holy Roman Empire control Norway. But we don't really have our choice there. They seem to be controlling quite a bit now across the board. So what we're going to take a look at here, we're going to scroll back down. As you can see, we're still involved in the Catholic Crusade for Jerusalem, which we've pretty much given up on. There was quite a bit of people coming in and basically running us out, though they seem to be doing decently here. We're still working on trying to gather whales. I'm taking a look up here. We have an unmarried heir, but that's because we currently have him in jail, and we don't want him to get married, because he is not nearly as good as the next person in line. So if we go down the heirs here, I believe it'll move over to Kaznar, who himself isn't really that good, but would be slightly better than who we currently have. Also, the righteous imprisonment we have up here is telling that our second son is interested in killing our current heir, and we don't have any problem with that, so we're actually going to leave him alone. Go ahead and dismiss that, and letting us know that we have two claims we can press. And once again, none of these are any landed vassals that we have, so we're going to go ahead and leave these for now. The other claim that we have is on Bohemia, which, as you can see over here, is in the Holy Roman Empire, and that's likely a fight I don't think I ever want to pick. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here. We're going to start our clock back up again. And take a quick look. As you can see, we built the castle city recently in there. And we're building a militia training grounds. And they got a town right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait till we have a militia training ground in each of these three. So we're saving up to 100 gold right now. Okay. We just had a son born to one of our daughters. If you take a look over here at our domain list, you can see that we've basically doubled, almost doubled, the amount in either Rudlin or Matherfall into Aberfraw. Alright. And Denmark is currently in a holy war for Livonia. They're pulling people from England to go aid in that. We just had another child born. As it stands right now, they seem to be taking a hold of the Crusade one more time. And as we can see, the second in succession just came of age as an indulgent wastrel, so he's not exceptionally desirable as an heir either. You can see he's homosexual, greedy. Everything else he has isn't too bad, but his education trait and that homosexual is going to make us a little bit leery of putting him onto the throne. My child shows every sign of being infatuated with a courtier and follows person in question everywhere. Okay. This is our daughter, and we're just going to say maybe it'll pass. Taking a look at my heir real fast, you can see that he's in jail. I could banish him from the realm, but I don't believe that strips him of his inheritance to her title. So I don't want to do that. And I don't want to execute him because I'll be known as a kinslayer, and that's a large diplomacy malice to us. So we're going to go ahead and just let him sit in there. As you can see, we just pulled up another claim for Glamorgan. So we're going to go ahead and take this, and we have just enough gold to be able to press it, though we will drop below in prestige again. So we're going to do that. Pause real fast and go ahead and move him over into Dyfed, start his work there. And while we're paused, we're going to go ahead and... No, he won't allow us to vassalize him, so we're going to go ahead and declare war against him. Even at the less troops we have from the Holy Wars we participated in, we should still have plenty enough to take Glamorgan. So we're going to let him know that that war has started, and we're going to pull up our military. Once again, we're just going to use our own levy. We're not going to use our vassal's levy. Once again, we're attacking into hills. Alright, pause real fast. We got a few notifications up here. One of our kin lacks a guardian, so let's go ahead and set her with someone. Once again, we're just going to look for a decent person. We're going to have Elgafa do it again. We can call in allies. The only ally we can call in right now is the King of Poland, and he likes our enemies a little more than us, and he's a bit too far away. There's also no real need for us to pull him in, so go ahead and ignore that. Okay, we once again have a guardian, a child that needs a guardian. She's both a genius and a hunchback. But one of our daughters is also a hunchback and relatively good across the board. I believe we'll set her with her. Alright, and as we're just waiting now is for the sieges to finish there. He doesn't have enough people to actively press a siege in any of my provinces. Disease strikes the besieging army. We take 5% losses. That's fairly harsh on us, but we still have enough to siege. And the castle always takes the most amount to siege. As you go to the next two, they always require a less amount. So as long as you have enough to siege the castle, you should be good. Still not really sure how the Holy Roman Empire got control of Denmark for that short period of time. My liege, I write to you with some bad news from Gwynedd. My efforts to squeeze some extra taxes out of the population have met with resistance. Okay. So he angered some of the peasants and also the mayor and the bishop in that area. So we'll have a slightly raised revolt risk there. think in that instance, right after we take this first area, go ahead. We're going to change him over to suppressing revolts in that area. As you can see, after taking that, we've jumped up to around 45% in our war score. The Crusade is going badly again. We're back up to about 85 gold, and like I said, we're waiting until we get around 100. Successful sally by the defender. The defenders of Landau sallied forth from a postern gate at dawn. They cut through the siege lines, inflicting many casualties on the besiegers. Then they returned back to the fortress to cheers from the defenders. So we took another 5% losses. They did, however, take a little bit of losses, but their morale has gone up, making the siege last a little bit longer. What we're going to do real fast is pause. And since I'm not sure if he'll die anytime soon, I do want to go ahead and wed Kaznar, just on the off chance that he becomes our next heir. I'm going to try to find him a good wife. Not married. We're going to make sure it's of our religion. Taking a quick glance right here, you can see that we have a couple of the best courtiers in the land right now. Or best diplomats in the land. But in looking at him, we can see that he's not too far from average in everything. The intrigue is a little off. We could look at intrigue, but as you can see, we don't really have a lot there. What I would like to do is attempt to try to find him someone who we know is at least not low-born. See, apparently the women with the best intrigue all have something genetically wrong with them. So taking a quick look at by rank, see nothing really tempting immediately. And I want to forego marrying him off to a duchess, because then he would become a duke. And if he were to have a child, and that child were to inherit, we might have an issue. And I may not be going over that correctly in my head, but believe I'm going to avoid marrying into the Holy Roman Empire. I don't want them to have reason to come take our land. I might marry Erzsébet here. She's Princess of Hungary. She has fairly good stats, though I do not like that stewardship. So I think I might skip that. Let's go ahead and take a quick glance at stewardship by level. See if we can find anybody here. As you can see, they're all relatively high in age. What we're looking for is between, 16 and 20. I'm trying to make sure they're not lowborn because I don't want to saddle him with a lot of prestige loss. This is proving a little bit harder than I would like it to. One seems lowborn. And if they're not lowborn, they seem to be fairly old. She's ill, but she is a genius. And I'm still considering, that's actually not too bad. She's a courtier, but she's of a house. We'll see if we can arrange a marriage here and see what we might be losing. We're going to marry him off to Kaznar, and it appears there won't be any issue for both of them to get married. So we're going to go ahead and set that up. Start the time again. We're getting a little bit closer to that 100 gold. Okay, she's arrived at our court. And as we get closer to that 100 gold, I'm going to go ahead and build this militia training ground right here. Alright, we've just succeeded in the second siege. Armies have taken a 1% loss as raiders hit the camp. Alright, we're going to start sieging the last area. We'll see if he's ready to offer peace. He's not. Alright. The crusade keeps swinging back in each direction. Not sure. Sure, it would be worth it to go back and help. Alright, we've stolen some more technology. And we have finished the final siege of holdings. So let's go ahead and enforce our demands because he's totally beaten. Okay. Okay, as we can see, my cousin actually came back to my camp. That's good. We have a slightly older daughter. My cousin's daughter has come back with her as well. And now we have control of this, and it's still one above our normal set. So what I'm actually considering doing here is landing possibly my grandson. Take a quick look here. See if there's anyone in my court. Princess. Everyone seems to like me a little bit. The only ones that don't are women. And I can't land them. He doesn't like me, but he's in jail. So I seem to be somewhat liked. So I believe what I'm going to do is go ahead and land. I'm wondering if the -10 for the domain. I believe the -10 for the domain is worth that small penalty. No, we'll go ahead and land the second in line. Because I don't have any other sons. So go ahead and grant him a land of Glamorgan. Alright, and as you can see, both of them have left our county. And what we just had pop up here is the ability to usurp the duchy. We control more than half of it, so we've gotten the option to just usurp it. However, it cost 183 gold to usurp it. I believe what I will likely still do, though, is save up to that point, because if I save up to that point and usurp it, there is a high likelihood that she might join us. She doesn't like us that much, though, but that's because we control both Glamorgan and Gwent. Whenever we take that over, she will likely, I believe, not desire that anymore. and it'll make it easier for us to invite her into our courts. Alright, and we have just gotten our nickname, and we are now known as the Drunkard. I've never gotten that without actually having the Drunkard trait, but I suppose having Gluttonous turned it. So, Duke Bledden the Hunter is followed by Cadwyn Matherfall the Drunkard. Alright, we have another child that needs a guardian. Once again, what we're going to do is we're just going to hand him off to someone who's Welsh. See, the font on our name is getting a little bit bigger. And if I were in control of England, or in this case Denmark, this would annoy me greatly. Having this one little space I couldn't take. Alright, we're going to set up another child to be educated. We're going to hand it off to our courtier Millicent. He is just of our dynasty. He's not a direct Welsh. Or direct heir, so we don't have to worry too heavily about him becoming Welsh. Alright, so we're saving up to about 180 gold, and that's going to take us quite a bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump up to my 4th speed. And I have been letting these guys sit here for a while. Let's go ahead and disband them in my... Alright. So we just had the child in the dungeons die. Because the child in the dungeons died, has now moved out our heir to Kaznar. And, well, he's not the greatest heir in the world. He's also not horrible. We just have to hope that with that trait homosexual, with the minus to fertility that he has, that he'll continue to put out heirs. Okay. We know that Cadogan Matherfall was murdered on the orders of Gwynethar Matherfall. Gwynethar Matherfall. Who is Gwynethar Matherfall? This is not one of my daughters. It's not my wife. One of the things they did in a recent patch, however, that will help us, is we're going to search realms. And we can actually search her name. Gwen. Okay, she might be married, so let's go ahead and hit yes. No. Yes. Any. Huh. She is not in our court. She is in the court of... She is in our court. It just didn't search it correctly. She was our niece. And there doesn't seem to be anything. She's received the Kinslayer trait. But alright, so we allowed somebody else to take care of our problem. And once again, as I said, he was caught too, so he has received it as well. Which actually makes our current heir likely better than him. Alright, and we're actually going to change our court chaplain to start researching cultural tech in our capital. He's spread love for us around enough. I think it's about time we brought him back in and let him do something different. Taking a quick glance at our technology, there's not a whole lot here, and I always have a bit of a hard time understanding. We seem to be about 1 star in everything. A couple things we're getting close to having 1 star in. Doesn't appear to have anything close to having 2 stars in, so... Alright, Duke Eldred of Hereford is trying to usurp my title. Chancellor Eldred of Clun is supposedly traveling around perfect law trying to find both documents and supporters to help him legitimize claim on the title. I need to do something about it. I can make him disappear, lose 10 piety, and have a chance that he is killed. I'm still kind. I am paranoid, however. I could try to bribe him, spend 50 gold, but we're saving up, so I'm not going to do that. I think I'll ask my spy master to try to make him disappear. Ish. The assassins failed miserably. He continues his work on trying to fabricate a claim on the title. I've already proven in the past episode that this is a relatively devious character. We're getting closer and closer to usurping this title. What I'm actually going to do is wait for about 200 gold before I usurp it. Give me a tiny bit of extra gold just in case I need it for some reason. Okay. The steward is saying that if I can give him 9 gold, he can increase the economic technology growth rate for about 5 years. And that's completely worth it in my opinion. Another one of my children needs a educator. Once again, we're going to go ahead and try to... I think I'll let the Kinslayer educator. That's showing good judgment, correct? Alright, we're getting closer and closer to that 200 gold. So I'm going to go ahead. What happened here? I cannot usurp a title. That's what it is. She's currently at war like we are with Jerusalem and the Holy War for Jerusalem. So we can't usurp the title yet, but that will allow us to save up some gold. Okay. We've been invited to take part in a holy war down here. And I think we'll go ahead and accept that. And actually take part in it. For nothing else, being in part of wars actually gives you some prestige. We'll go ahead and use just our vassals once again. Alright. Combine them. Load them up. What I may do is if I have anybody left, I might go ahead and send them down into... Alright. The fight is taking place right here, so we're going to go ahead and send them down to the Bay of Biscay. And if I don't lose too many people, I may go send these troops off into Jerusalem as well. Let's go ahead and head into Molina. Since we're at war, we're going to drop our speed back down to 3. We have 795 troops with their 710 here. If this group right here gets a defensive bonus, we may have a bit of an issue, but it appears we have some people coming in. Well, I thought we had some people coming in to help us. Alright, we seem to be at a loss for morale, but they're breaking. Alright, and as you can see, we've got about 4,000 troops off here to our side. And I would chase him, but he's about to walk right into the path of some rebels right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold off until I see these 4,000 troops move. And as you can see, those rebels are eating them up. I'm going to go ahead and try to escape if I can. I may not be able to. I'll just barely escape. Okay. And they've just begun a fight down there. I'm not sure that they're... And as you can see, he's about to go on a warpath throughout this area. So we're going to once again show our true level of friendship and escape to our ships. I think I'm going to go ahead and send our troops back. I'm hoping that this crusade ends soon so that we can usurp this area, because once we usurp this area, she's much more likely to accept an offer of vassalization from us, and we will have every area that we need to form Wales. Alright, our daughter has just come of age, and she is not exceptional. We will use her to form an alliance. Possibly with Denmark. Let's go ahead and give that a quick test. We're going to pause real fast. We're going to go ahead and take a look here. Let's see how old he is. He's 9. I was willing to wait 6 years. I could betroth ourselves to him. But let's take a quick look. And he has a ton of children. But taking a quick glance, we're going to go ahead and he has outlived almost all of his children. Oh well. Okay, let's try something else then. He's one of his children. He only has one child currently. And that appears to be all he will have. So the next heir of Scotland right now is female. If there was a way to kill him, I could marry off one of my children. But that wouldn't really work for us. I guess we'll just go back to what we were doing and glance through here. I think I will marry her off to the Basileus Andronicus. Give her and our house quite a bit of prestige. Okay. I've got quite a bit of gold. This would be a way to... As you travel by a carriage on a road in Gwynedd, you pass by what appears to be an old shuttered inn. The sight of it fills you with questions. What forced them to close down? Could you do a better job than previous owners? Perhaps this is a golden opportunity to improve your stewardship. My current ambition is to improve my stewardship, and I believe I will go ahead and do that. We have quite a bit of gold as we wait for these wars to die down. What I'm going to do real fast is pause, find my grandson a suitable teacher. I want to make sure that, once again, we're using someone of the Welsh culture. I believe I'm going to have Owain teach him. He seems fairly stable, fairly even throughout, with the exception of intrigue. And since neither of these actually seem to stop anytime soon, I'm assuming it'll end with death before it'll end with either winning. I believe I will go ahead and we have our first faction joining, where my son is trying to place my half-brother on the throne. May have to attempt to get him to stop that. Alright. The vagrants in your new inn have been evicted, the holes in the roof have been patched, and the whole building has been thoroughly aired out to cleanse it of the most offensive odors. New staff has been hired, and the time has come for you to name the inn. It's the Bottomless Tankard, the Mead Fountain, the Jester's Choice, or the Drunken Squire. I think we're going to have to name this the Drunken Squire. Alright, but let's take a quick look real fast. If you drop into this button right here next to that, you can see your factions. And we can see that he's got a -1 opinion of us. I'm going to go ahead and award him the title of High Almoner. It will jump him up a little bit. It's not going to solve our problem, but it'll get him a little bit closer just in case. We have about 215 gold, and I'm loath to let it sit for a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and spend it on a castle town. Okay. Things are very busy in your new inn, with everyone preparing for the grand opening night. Guests will be able to sample turnips for free, but if you add a generous amount of salt to them, people might become more thirsty, and the mead sales would increase. We can add 10% salt, 20% salt, 30% salt, or all the salt we have. Damn you! I think I'll do 20% salt. Alright, we're going to let the clock run until 11:01, January 1st. And we'll go ahead and call it at that point. Your inn will soon be open to the public, but one last detail to manage your attention before the opening night. Some form of act or spectacle will need to be booked to keep the guests around. After scouring the lands for what passes for entertainment, you conclude the following options are available to you: a lengthy servant of the evils of vice, a traveling bard from distant lands, a renowned eunuch castrato singer, or a wild ass that allegedly speaks and recites poetry. I think we're going to go ahead and book the traveling bard from distant lands. The bard we hired was far away and spoke a peculiar language, yet despite this there was a strangely compelling elegance and rhythm to his poetry and song. These people seem to think so. Sales were good, so you see no reason to complain. Keep the mead flowing. We gained 15 gold. The salt trick actually seemed to have worked. Who would have thought? The thirst of your guests seems unquenchable, and the mead sales exceeded expectations. We made 20 gold. So we spent 50 gold so far, and made about 35 back. The opening night of your inn has concluded, and the time has come for you to move from this venture and resume your other duties. Whatever else can be said, you have learned many valuable lessons on running a business. A buyer is ready to take the inn off your hands at a tidy little profit for you. 65 gold. So what we spent was 50 gold, but we made back a total of about 100 gold. We did spend about 15 gold there, so we still made a small profit. And gained stewardship. So stewardship jumped up to a 4, though that didn't do much for us. Okay, we have stolen some more. Mayor Murrig has been the most dedicated and successful spy master I have ever seen. we're going to take a look at Gwynedd real fast. Got about 100 gold. I think I might possibly go ahead and upgrade my stone wall. Alright. One of my couriers died of a natural death, and this was Meredith, who was Meredith's wife. They had had a couple children before she passed. Well, we got a few more claims floating around. We have a claim on Jorvik, which is York. And that appears to be it. The vassals we received from after we took over Glamorgan have that claim. And one of them is probably for the actual duchy itself. Yeah, that one's for the duchy, and as you can tell, basically for both the duchy and the one other thing held. Alright, we've actually gone past January 1st. I wasn't even paying attention. We're going to do is pause it here, and I've been running a little long. So, I'm going to go ahead and call it here, and we've actually gotten one more county, and we're trying to build towards that next county so that we can form Wales. Quick scroll out, you can see that not too much has changed from the start of the episode. We're still worried about the Holy Roman Empire here, but hopefully that can take care of itself. And alright, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go, and we will see you on the very next episode. Thanks for watching, guys.